And now on deck with the Tom Sox, hosted by Ben Rekosh.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of On Deck with the Tom Sox. It's our fourth annual Midseason awards show. I'm joined today by Luke Stefanisko, Landon Weaver, Bryan Portney, and Matt Becker. I am, of course, the host, Ben Rekosh. The Tom Sox sit at 10-12, here firmly in year three of the Randy Tomlin era, fourth place in the VBL standings, notably started 0-7, 1-8, which is the worst in franchise history. Three VBL All-Stars for the Tom Sox this year. Brandon Dahlman, Evan Allwine, Lucas Cash. Now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, we'll get right into it. Landon, I'll start with you right here. What's one word you'd use to describe the start of the Tom Sox season so far?
I'd say chaotic. Obviously, when you start 0-7, don't want that to happen, but they've resurrected it. We saw this last year, Ben, Luke. We saw it last year. Started 3-9 and resurrected it and made it all the way to the championship. So it's been chaotic. It's been a roller coaster, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't been fun. It's been awesome. The Tom Sox are always going to deliver. And as of late, we've seen some really gritty wins. The 11-9 victory over Harrisonburg being down. That's a game they lose early on in the season, but not this team. This team is completely different than how they started. So it's chaotic, but in a good way.
Luke, I'll send it to you. What's one word you'd use to describe the year three of the Randy Tomlin era thus far?
Building. I think it's fairly simple. This team's been building up to this point. You obviously had a lot of guys in the early season that were still either with their school in the regional or super regional. And those reinforcements have come key down the stretch to kind of bolster either the staff or the lineup. And you've seen the improvement. You've seen everyone get better on the field. You've seen the chemistry start to develop. And that's one of the big things I think is a lot different from last year. It seems the players have gelled very quick and they've gelled well together onto the field. I think our fielding as a whole, there's a lot of things that this season, last year's team may not have been able to do that this year's team has really, really showed out on the field, which has been nice because there were some times last year when fielding came back to bite the Sox. And this season, it's been the exact opposite where fielding has helped us out in some situations.
Bryan Portney and Matt Becker join us. Their first time here on the podcast, but mainstays for anyone that's been paying attention to the Tom Sox this season. I'll give it to Bryan Portney first. Portney, what would you say is one word you use to describe the Tom Sox season?
Yeah, something that Landon kind of touched on earlier, but it's gritty. I mean, this team, especially down the stretch, we saw in that Stanton game where they were down 6-0 and they end up winning 10-7. We saw that in the comeback victory over Harrisonburg. I mean, this team has been able to pour it on late. But not only that, but there are games where you can just see they grinded out results. They might not have gotten 10 hits or this and that, but they've done what they've needed to. One of the three, either pitching, fielding, or batting, has been able to step it up enough to make it good enough. We saw that again in the Covington win. This past week, I mean, really it's just been this past week. They've been fighting for that fourth playoff spot now in the VBL South. Only 4 teams make the playoffs out of 6, and they're in that close race with Harrisonburg, and they were just able to take the season series now 4-1 over Harrisonburg, and that's huge. So it's really just doing that. And then among other things, I mean, it's just you're seeing it from everybody in this group. They're just being able to gel so well together. And that's really going to help down the stretch because I mean, you got guys like Luke Craddock and Chase Jackson and Caden Combs who are real team first players who just get along really well with the team, and that just helps create team chemistry, and that helps with the grittiness that you're going to need down the stretch.
And Matt Becker, close it out.
Boy, does this team know how to keep all of us in check. I'm a big amusement park guy. Landon, you kind of already mentioned the word. I thought on this last night. It's roller coaster because this has been such a fun season to broadcast and cover. It has been the craziest ups and the craziest downs. We're currently riding the craziest ups, and I love every minute of it. And I'm so, intrigued. It's kind of like, as I said, roller coaster, but it's like a TV show. There's plot twists and turns left and right, and I really like the way they're playing now, but they have to keep this up, obviously. But man, that 0-7, the days were longer, and it was painful for everybody. It was, this is a program that really holds itself to a high standard, as it should. And to see the way they've been playing recently has been astonishing. And we were worried with the shortened season. How is this going to be? How are they going to fight back? How are they even going to figure out a way to make the playoffs? We're thinking, all right, well, let me text my family that I'm going to be back earlier than I thought. And I told them, hold the phone on that. The boys are back and they're ready to battle and they are fighting and clawing their way back.
I think my word, well, I agree with everybody, is kind of indicative of how the Tom Sox have made this turnaround happen, and that's fun. They've been having a good time. They've been playing with joy, and they've been playing as a team, and really that's what baseball is about, right? And this is a long season. Obviously, it's only 36 games this year instead of the previous 42 or 44, but you're playing 5 or 6 days a week. You're playing with teammates you've never met before in your life. So to have fun is imperative for this team to have success. Luke, 3 All-Stars for the Tom Sox. It was announced early this week. Evan Allwine, Lucas Cash, and Brandon Dahlman. What can you give us on each of them? I'm sure we'll touch on them later in the show, but what does it mean for those guys as they'll head up to Bethesda, Maryland later next week and compete in a VBL showcase?
Yeah, well, first off, those 3 are no-brainer All-Stars. I think that there's 3 players on this team that are guaranteed to be on that roster, and it was those 3. I'll start with Evan Allwine. It's his second consecutive All-Star selection for the Tom Sox. And what I think means most to him is the fact that he'll actually be able to pitch in the game this year. Injured before the All-Star game last year, but was incredibly effective for the Sox as a starter last year. Ironically, has the same ERA and the same amount of innings pitched this season as he ended last season with. So you can only build on what he did last season if you're Evan Allwine. And that's just always encouraging to have. He's a great guy, a great presence on the mound, and a great teammate. I go back to him working on the mound before every home game with Jason Mullins to make sure his fellow pitchers have a proper pitching surface. He's just a great teammate like that. And it's really awesome to see him succeed at this level. And it'll be a great opportunity for him at the All-Star game. I'll go to our other current collegiate player before I touch on the other All-Star selection, who's a bit of a unique case, in Brandon Dahlman. Dahlman, who came in a week into the season when the Sox were in desperate need of pitching and has been nothing short of excellent. He's only allowed 2 earned runs on the season across 6 appearances and has struck out 31 batters. That's mind-boggling considering he's only pitched around 17 innings. He has been untouchable on the mound, and it's been incredibly fun to watch him as well, just the way he goes about things on the mound and dominates. You feel a lot more comfortable when he comes into a close game compared to about everybody else in the world. I think we have a lot of trust in Brandon Dahlman when he enters in a situation in a close game, so it's nice to see him get the nod as an all-star. And then finally, Lucas Cash, who I believe this is the first ever graduate all-star and might be the only graduate all-star in the VBL history, with the new rule being passed this past offseason where graduate players are allowed to play in the league. And again, he's brought stability to this Tom Sox pitching staff just simply by the fact that he's able to go upwards of 5, 6, or 7 innings on the mound. I mean, that's kind of unheard of in the Valley, a guy being able to stretch that far consistently, but he's pitched 30 innings for the Sox this year, a complete game shutout against Harrisonburg where he went 7 innings without allowing a run. He's just impressive and a very good person. It's always nice to have a chat with Lucas Cash, especially after that Harrisonburg game. He was just so happy with everything. His family was there, and it was nice to get the chat with him, and super excited to have him on the roster and have him repping the Sox as an all-star.
Yeah, new type of format for the BBL All-Star Game this year with new commissioner Rick Furr at the helm. It'll be up in Bethesda, Maryland on July 7th. They'll be competing against the best of the best from the Cal Ripken Junior Collegiate League. So really exciting to see that, and really exciting to just see Brandon Dahlman, Evan Allwine, and Lucas Cash do what they do best, and that's pitch on the mound representing the Tom Sox. So super excited for that next week. Landon, I want to ask you about something real quick before we dive into the awards here, and that's something that Portney alluded to earlier. It's the South Division standings in the Valley Baseball League. 16-6 are the Waynesboro Generals. They're in first place. 2.5 games behind them are the Stanton Braves. Then it goes the Culpeper Cavaliers at 12-9. The Charlottesville Tom Sox at 11-12. The Harrisonburg Turks at 10-13. Landon, lots at stake in this standings, especially because now the top 4 teams make the playoffs. The bottom 2, well, their season is done on July 18th. What's the key for the Tom Sox, and what do you see in this standings?
I can tell you right now, Ben, and the rest of you guys, what we see right now in the standings, that's not how it's going to look at the end of the season. There are, 4 games that separate, 3 games that separate Culpeper from Harrisonburg, 2 games that separate us from Harrisonburg. There's going to be a lot of flip-flop, a lot of turnover. Harrisonburg is a good team. The record doesn't show how good they are. They have home run power. They have really good hitting. Pitching has been a little bit dicey for them all season long, but they have one of the best aces in the league in Lane Duff. And then for Culpeper, if they hit home runs and they hit extra base hits all the time, they're going to keep winning. But that's their bread and butter. It's like a team that shoots threes, you know. They live and die by the long ball. So it's going to be a lot of change. Stanton and Waynesboro are pretty far ahead, although maybe Stanton could get caught. They've been slipping a little bit lately, but Waynesboro is Waynesboro, man. They've already eclipsed the amount of wins that they had last season. They're playing pretty well. New management, new staff, and it's really showing for them. So they'll probably be the 1 seed. But yeah, every game is pivotal. We played 23 games, 13 to go. Those South Division matchups are huge for the Sox. As you said, they've already won the season series against Harrisonburg. They got to win games against Stanton and Culpeper. And this is no disrespect to Covington, but they got to take care of Covington. 7-15, worst in the VBL, tied with Woodstock. That's bottom of the North. Yeah, you got to take care of those games if you're the Sox.
And just for what it's worth, the North standings go Percival, Winchester, Strasburg, Newmarket, Front Royal, and Woodstock. Percival has a solid lead on first place there in the North Division, but hit the nail on the head. The South Division matchups are what matter for the Tom Sox at this stage, sitting in 4th place, and keeping that is kind of what's most important, as they sat at the bottom for a while this season and have crept their way back up to playoff contention, sitting just below 500 here as we're on the precipice of July. And that kind of segues my next point, is that, you know, we only have 2.5, 3 weeks left of the regular season, as tomorrow, as we're recording this, is July 1st. So a lot can change, but still, we're well over halfway done with this year's Valley League season, a shortened 36-game season. So a lot to look forward to. Let's get into it. The meat and potatoes of this episode. A plethora of awards to give out here on the Tom Sox YouTube channel. Rookie of the Year, Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger, Heart and Hustle, Cy Youngs, and of course, the MVP. We'll start with the Rookie of the Year, and it's a rising freshman or sophomore on the season for the Tom Sox, but this year there have been a lot of rising freshmen that have made an impact on the squad. You talk about Will Yao, Lucas Arbeliz, Tanner Crater, Eric Davis, Caden Harris. So new this year is sort of that impact that those type of guys have had. Matt Becker, I'll lead it to you first. Who's your Rookie of the Year?
I was so close to putting Will Yao, and I have him for something else. So I wanted to I kind of wanted to tip my cap to somebody else, and for me, it's Asher Sabon. He has been so well. He's a redshirt sophomore, and he has a 2.76 ERA. Whenever he comes into the game, very similar to Dahlman, I feel a sense of coolness. I feel calm. And it's an 8 appearances and 16 and a third innings pitched. He's only allowed 15 hits. He has 14 strikeouts. I really like the way he's been spinning the ball. I like the way he's working outs. But also, I think the biggest thing that I like seeing out of him is he trusts the defense behind him so well. He's not afraid to pitch to batters. I don't see him lose command or control as much. I see him attack batters. And for me, that's a sign of a good pitcher. Because if you trust your defense, especially the defense that the Sox have built, you're going to be doing the right things. You're going to be getting a low ERA. I trust this defense to save my life. I think he should too.
No arguing with that. Bryan Portney, your best rising freshman or sophomore through this point in the season is who?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go with Will Yao, but it seems like the obvious choice, and like Becker, I have him for another award, so I'm gonna go with Tanner Crater. Really, his early impact in the season really cannot be understated uh, or overstated. Because I mean, well, he was batting 323 at a 452 slugging percentage. He was one of the best players. I mean, I believe far and away. What he was able to do, also 7 stolen bases to boot. You know, he did so much in such a little time, and he was consistently a top of the order guy that you knew every time he stepped up to the plate, you were going to get some value out of him. And he just kept going and he kept going. And, you know, in that early part of the season, I mean, he showed us what Will Yao now can be, what Xavier McCory has shown. And we've seen flashes of him and other players, and being able to compare other players to him means he was the standard at the start of the year, and he was that competitive standard. And I think yeah, he's going to do great things when he continues to go in his collegiate career at Wofford.
Absolutely. Landon.
Yeah, for me, it's Xavier McCory. He's a guy that did not play at Liberty his freshman year, so this is really his first kind of taste of collegiate baseball, and he's doing really well. Obviously, he was hot right out of the gate. He slowed down just a little bit. He's still batting 263. He's got 13 RBIs, but 12 stolen bases, and he tied the program record for bases stolen in the game with four. I believe that was over at, is that Covington, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Covington. So. Yeah, he's really been impactful on both sides of the ball. I mean, the middle infield pairing with Will Yao and even with Chase Jackson over there as well, he's been phenomenal. And I think the fact that he hasn't played collegiate ball, he's playing for the first time against guys that are better athletes than they were in high school. I think he's really shown out well, and he's been a pivotal spot in that Sox roster all season long.
Luke.
I'm going to give credit where credit is due to Lucas Arbelais here, a guy that was pitching in the RCBL for the first few weeks of the season, gets the call to join the Tom Sox pitching staff. And, my first impression of him on the mound is, wow, this dude's going D3. I mean, he's touching upwards of 88, 89 on his fastball. His breaking ball is mind-bendingly disgusting. That thing moves probably the second or third best breaking ball on the team. I will give a shout out to Connor Hedgepeth, who I do agree has the best curveball on the team. That thing is also absolutely disgusting. But for him to come in at this point and pitch the innings that he has, I know it's a very small sample size in 6 1/3 innings, but as a young guy making your first taste of collegiate action against guys that are JUCO, that are formerly D1, that are currently D1 and D2 players, he hasn't looked out of place. He's hung right in there with them. He went 2 scoreless innings against Waynesboro. He got out of a sticky situation in Stanton where he allowed his only earned run, but found a way out of it, courtesy of a couple flyouts, which was very much to the chagrin of Jason Mullins, who was very happy watching him as his coach at Charlottesville High School. It's just a very cool story, and he's pitched really well this season. Has been a welcome addition to the Sox, and I think Randolph Macon is getting a very, very good pitcher.
For mine, I want to give a mention to two gentlemen that will be spending next year at the University of Virginia. That's Bryce Neely and Will Yao. Bryce Neely, the only Tom Sox player with a double, a triple, and a home run, and he's been a good spot in the lineup and in center field since his arrival a couple weeks ago. And then Will Yao, in his 13 games played, he's made all the plays at shortstop. A couple of growing pains out there, but that's to be expected with a rising freshman to the University of Virginia. And obviously the big story is that he was going to be in the MLB draft, and he was preparing like he was, and the scouts were talking to him and X, Y, and Z, and he decided, hey, I'm committed to UVA. I want to stick that out, and you know what? I'm going to play the season with the Tom Sox, and I'm going to play next year with the Cavaliers. So Will Yao, Bryce Neely, those are my two shouts for Rookie of the Year. We'll move on to our next award right here, and that's Gold Glove. We have 3 Gold Gloves to hand out, and you can each run through them at the same time. One for infield, one for outfield, and then one for anybody that you think deserves a shout. It can be another infielder, it can be another outfielder, or it can be something else. Becker, we'll start with you again.
My infield, I think this is going to be a very popular answer, and I physically cannot pick anyone else. I just can't. It's Will Yao. And in the words of you, Ben, Will Yao, wow. He is just So good. But he's calm. And yeah, there were a couple of hiccups early in the season where he had like one game or two games where, catching a fly ball was a bit of a roller coaster. After that, I've never seen that again. And every single hard play, he somehow finds a way to either make or at least get his body to the ball to attempt to make a play. And it has been so amazing to see. This guy is an unbelievable defender. I think he's going to fly at UVA. And my goodness, is he giving me shades of just an MLB All-Star shortstop. He's doing everything right, the right movement. It's just sensational. The outfield was trickier. For me, it's Lucas Ream. He's got a 1,000 fielding percentage. Every time that the ball's hit his way, he's been perfect. I kind of get like the Harrison Bader sense of, cool when I see him step back to catch a fly ball. I know it's going to be caught. And he's just very cool, calm, and collective. And the outfield was such a hard one because I actually spoke about this with Brian last night. Everybody's been in their position doing the right thing. There hasn't really been a chance for them to make a diving catch or to do something extraordinary to take away an extra base hit. And that's credit to the Tom Sox coaching because everybody's been in the right spot. There hasn't been a time where any of us have been like, oh, he was a little bit to the left or right, or oh, he should have been more in on that ball. No, everyone's been great. And Lucas Ream for me is the Gold Glove in the outfield. Miscellaneous. I don't know if I have the numbers besides throwing people out to get, to to get this one, but it's Caffarello for me because he has been so good behind the plate. I love the way he plays. He blocks so many balls, and you're not going to see that on the stats. So there's no real way to like measure that, but we know it, we see it. And he blocks so many balls. He saves so many balls from going to the backstop. And he's got a cannon. And he is throwing people out left and right. You cannot run on this cat. It's unbelievable.
Becker, I'll insert myself here and say I'm 2 for 3 with you. I'm going to go with Ream in the outfield. I'll go with Caffarello behind the plate. And then I want to give some credit to Caden Combs at first base, who's been a welcome addition to the Tom Sox lineup. Caden Combs, just I think it's fair to say this, a massive presence there in the corner. A former football player, right? And that's the type of guy, the enforcer that you want at first base. And he's able to leg plays out, and he's also able to get the ones that need to be gotten. So I think Caden Combs, Lucas Ream, and Dom Caffarello, they're my 3 Gold Gloves. Landon, we'll send it to you here as I'm seeing it on my screen. Who are your 3 Gold Gloves?
Um, I think Will Yao for sure for the infield. He's made some incredible plays. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but he's my middle infielder of the midseason so far. Outfield, Tommy Lansness. I mean, like Becker said, the outfield hasn't done anything wrong all year. They've been really, really good. And Lansness has been a mainstay in that lineup since the season began. And he was VBL South Hitter of the Week. That's got to count for something, right? So the fact that he's doing it on both sides of the ball, he's really good on left. They played him in center. They played him in right. He's versatile. I like that out of him. And then for miscellaneous, I'm going to go with Grayson McCollum over at third. Dude's got a cannon. And anytime, like I've seen so many 5-3 putouts this year, and those are hard throws to make, especially when the ball is traveling that fast down that third base line. McCollum's always cool, calm, and collected over there, and he's able to make it. Doesn't give the first baseman a lot of trouble.
Well, they call it the hot corner for a reason. And Grayson McCollum has both been good in the batter's box and at third base. So good calls all around. Bryan Portney, who do you say?
Yeah, so for my infield, I mean, I feel like we're going to keep talking about it. It's Will Yao. It's got to almost feel unanimous at this point, with the exception of one. But I mean, yeah, Will Yao has been making those wow-worthy plays. Really, whenever you see him in the lineup, you get a little smile on your face knowing he's going to make one of those plays, or at least he's going to turn some kind of 6-4-3 double play. He's been fantastic in that department. And then turning it over to the outfield, again, I mean, I always talk about this with my dad, who is a former baseball coach. He says whenever he sees one of those, any of those sliding catches or any of those running catches from the outfield, it just means they are out of position. And really, all the outfielders have been in position very well. But, I mean, Tommy Lances, I mean, yeah, you've seen him as a right fielder. You've seen him as a center fielder. His cool presence, he's just cool, calm, and collected. And that is why he's my outfield Golden Glove. And then for my miscellaneous, it's somebody who's turned it on later on in the season, not only at the plate, but in the field. It's Chase Jackson. I saw him fielding fungos the other day before one of the games. I believe it was the Covington game. And, yeah, he's just got that cool shuffle. He's able to really speed to the ball and just, keep everything in front of him. He's had one or two errors, but come time for later on in the season when head coach Randy Tomlin is looking for guys to step up, he's going to want to be that presence in the middle infield.
Luke?
All right. So I'm not going to pick Willie out. I'm just going to get that out of the way right now. Wanted to let y'all know that. My infielder is Luke Craddock. I'm surprised no one else has mentioned his name considering what he's done at first base. I know the statistics say he has 2 errors on the year. I don't think those are partially accurate considering he's saved a lot more errors than he has made errors this season. And I think that's the main mark of a first baseman is if you are able to confidently look back on the year and say, hey, this guy saved a lot of errors for his teammates and didn't make that many of his own, that means he's a pretty dang good fielder. And that's been Craddock this season. His stretch at first base is unreal coming from someone that used to play first base. I think if I tried that, I wouldn't be able to get up and or play for the rest of the game. This dude's able to do it effectively multiple times a game, saving errors. There's not many first basemen across baseball that can do what he does, and he's able to stick with it. I think he's an excellent fielder, and he consistently puts work into his craft, which, again, I think that just shows out on the field and shows you why he's an excellent infielder. Outfield, I will go Lucas Ream. I think that's a good pick from Ben and whoever else selected him. He just seems to be in the right spot. I love the way he can glide across the outfield. A big guy, but you can't really tell he's that imposing out in the outfield with the way that he moves. He moves differently than what you would expect someone of his size and stature to be. And he's made a couple of great throws this season. I go back to Covington. It didn't convert into an out, but he hit Sam Summerlin right in the glove and had a runner dead to rights. Tough play at the plate, but it was a beautiful toss from him. He has the arm. He has the speed. He has the exact presence you'd want in the outfield. Lucas Ream is my outfield pick. And then for my miscellaneous, I'll give credit to Dom Caffarillo and Ben Cardone here. Both those guys have improved considerably behind the plate since the start of the season and have kind of solidified themselves as the defensive-minded catchers of the Sox this year. I think Cardone, a smaller frame behind the plate, but I mean, you can see the arm pop, just the way that you can see the bat pop at the plate for Ben Cardone. There's a lot of power there and a lot of velocity behind the plate. And Caffarillo is just a really good vocal leader, and I think that helps having someone behind the plate who's able to kind of command things and get everything in order. He's just great at doing that. And you can hear him from the press box whenever we broadcast the game. You can just hear him being vocal and being a good leader. That's the mark of a true baseball player, and that's the mark of a true Gold Glover in my mind.
Well, Luke, how much do you attribute that to Caffarillo's vocal strength, and how much do you attribute to what we call the best crowd mic in all of the Valley League?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think you guys can agree. We also hear it in away games as well. It's not just at home. Whenever Caffarillo is catching, he's very vocal. And again, it's always cool to hear that because it's something you typically don't hear, especially with the nature of college baseball and minor league baseball stadiums. It's kind of tough to hear what the players are saying, but to get an environment like the Valley Baseball League where you can hear a lot of what's going on in the field, it's always cool.
I kid. And before we move on to the next award, as we're talking about fielding here, I want to make one more point, and that's about Will Yao. One of the things that the incoming freshman, at least how I've seen it, has learned through the Valley Baseball League season so far is that making the flashy plays is awesome, and making cool plays is fun, but it's just as important to make the easy 6-3 putouts as the easy 6-4 putouts. And really, that's where the money is made, right? And if you can't do those, then what are you doing on the infield? So Will Yao, and you can say Chase Jackson as well, Xavier McCory, they've all learned about this. 6-3 is all written down the same way, whether it's a jumping throw or just a normal putout, and it's important to get them all done in the same right. Next is Silver Slugger, and the criteria for this is fairly simple. It is the best or most impactful hitter for the Tom Sox this season. Luke, we're going in reversal order this time. Who's your Silver Slugger?
There might be some overlap to different awards here with my Silver Slugger, but I'm going Grayson McCollum. If you think of the best pure hitter on this team, it's him. I mean, 26 hits and 83 at bats, a 313 average. You just feel like when he gets to the plate, he's going to get bat on ball, and he has translated it to extra bases this season, 6 doubles, which leads the team at this point. He's found a way to put bat on ball. He's consistently gone on base, and when he gets on base, he's able to extend and steal bases. He's kind of just the exact prototype of what you want in a summer ball hitter, and he's consistently come through with runners in scoring position as well with 17 RBIs. So there's nothing really to not like about Grayson McCollum and what he does for the Tom Sox. I think he's an easy pick for Silver Slugger and should be in contention for some other silverware.
I like where that went. Bryan Portney, where are you going?
Yeah, man, I feel like you got to go back to Grayson McCollum. I mean, he went 4 for 4 on Sunday in that win over Harrisonburg. Just looking that up. But you're talking about the biggest run production. You got to start with the only stat that really measures it the best, and it's RBIs. And he leads the team in that with 17. And, I mean, he has been the biggest mainstay on this Tom Sox lineup. He's had 21 of the 23 games he's started and appeared in. So, I mean, there's that, and also leads the team in hits, runs, extra base hits. I mean, you can really go down the line on what terms of impact he's able to bring, and he's really had that kind of impact. I mean, you talk about he's a pure hitter. He's a bit of a ground ball hitter as well, but he doesn't really need to lift the ball at times. But when he does, that helps as well. I mean, he's been able to really do everything in that aspect, get a lot of bat on ball, as Luke said. So, the best pure hitter and easily the Silver Slugger in my eyes.
Landon Weaver, where are you going?
I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to go with Aiden Harris. Limited sample size, but in 11 games, he's got 13 hits, so he's due for at least one a game. And that's consistent, especially when the offense hasn't been firing on all cylinders all season. Obviously, Grayson McCollum is a great hitter, and he's been a mainstay in the lineup. He's obviously one of the best hitters, one of the two best hitters on this team. But Aiden Harris has been on fire. He's batting .351, but it's a lot of singles, which is good. You need singles. You need a guy that's going to get you singles and get on base and be consistent. He's been that guy so far.
Becker?
I was so close to putting Aiden Harris, and the thing that did it for me was the at-bats, just because of how, he was, he didn't come late, but he wasn't here at the start of the season, so the at-bats kind of got taken away from him. So I hate to make it three people, but Grayson McCollum, 313 average. This guy, every time he's at the plate, you expect the ball to be put in play. And nonetheless, usually it falls for a hit. And he is the ideal 2-3 hitter in your lineup. Personally, I think he'd be the best hitter on every single team in the VBL. He is great. I love him. I think the Sox really struck gold with him.
I don't know how the only player to win VBL South Hitter of the Week hasn't been mentioned yet in this category. This is Tommy Lansness. His numbers aren't eye-popping, especially for an outfielder. A .254 average, 8 RBIs in 22 games played, 16 runs scored, 7 stolen bases, 14 walks drawn, and the downfall right there is the 18 strikeouts with the 18 hits. But Tommy Lansness has been consistent. And to be a consistent member of the lineup is not easy to do in this Valley Baseball League setting. So I'll hand it to Tommy Lansness. He's the only player to win that award, the VBL South Hitter of the Week this year, and the only player to win a VBL South honor since Cade Ballou in 2024. So Tommy Lansness, I'll give him credit where credit is due. Next award here is a lot of fun, and I'll start with my recipient. The Heart and Hustle Award, which, as described by Major League Baseball, is that they have a passion for the game of baseball and best embodies the values, spirit, and traditions of the game. I'm going to hand it to Lucas Cash. Lucas Cash, the first ever 4-year Tom Sox player, an all-star this year. Luke mentioned that complete game that he had last week, and just an overall joy to be around. So Lucas Cash, heart and hustle. He works a full-time job during the day, comes to pitch for the Tom Sox in the evenings. Just a great guy, a great pitcher, and a well-deserved recipient of the Heart and Hustle Award. Luke, where are you going?
I'm going to go back to Dom Caffarillo here. I think, again, it's a very similar situation of he just seems to have a passion for baseball, and you can see it kind of bleed through with everything he's done. I go back to Lucas Arbalaiz's first time pitching for the Sox, and it was Dom Caffarillo behind the plate. And it was just the veteran leadership that Caffarillo had, and he's kind of become a mentor to some of the younger guys on the roster, especially some of the younger catchers. Caffarillo will be a junior next season at Georgetown. He's been in college baseball. He knows how things operate. He made a plethora of starts for the Hoyas this year. So he's just a very good leader and someone that I think embodies what the true spirit of baseball should be about.
Portney.
Yeah, I mean, for my heart and hustle award, I'm gonna have to go with somebody who's just been able to simplify the game, right? When, well, obviously his name is Luke Craddock. I mean, before we're going too much into that, but I mean, he was struggling early on to start the season, and then I think Matt, I think it was that one time where we went and fielded fungos with him and helped him with that. He ended up having like 2-3 really good picks in the next game. And it's really just that much is for sure. And, I mean, he's great to be around. If you guys want to see his mic'd up, it's obviously also on the YouTube channel. But just as much as that, I mean, you've seen what he's been able to do. I think in that Waynesboro game, he had the green light on the 3-0 pitch. I don't know who gave him the green light, but he was able to get it out to the left center gap for a double. And it was what was hoping to start a rally, and unfortunately the Tom Sox fell short to the Waynesboro Generals on Saturday by a score 9-6. But I mean, it's a guy who's been able to turn it on at the end of the season, and not only just what he can do on the field, it's off the field. He's been a great presence in that clubhouse, and yeah, it's just great to see that all around.
It's a good mention by you to give a shout out to his mic'd up segment that Abby Franklin produced and we published on Monday of this week. It's great to have a little bit of the personality of these players, and the mic'd up segments are one of the avenues that we get to do that. So a lot of fun, and I recommend everyone go check it out. Landon, this is a fun award. Who are you giving it to?
Yeah, it's going to go to Don Caffarillo for me. When I think of this award, I think of a captain of the team, and Caffarillo is certainly that. There's not a guy that is more vocal with his pitchers, more vocal with his infielders, even vocal with the outfielders and the hitters when he's on the bench. Caffarillo just embodies that spirit, and he's always looking for the best. He's a hometown kid as well. Went to Charlotte, or no, he didn't go to Charlottesville High School, did he?
Went to Charlottesville High School for a little bit and then transferred to the Miller School. So,
Yeah,
yes,
so
hometown still.
yeah, so he just embodies the Tom Sox. He embodies that spirit that you need. And when you're looking for someone to be upbeat in a bad game, he's there. It doesn't matter what the score is. He's always going to be vocal and supportive.
Becker, close it out.
I'm so happy nobody picked him. Chase Jackson. I love this guy. I really do. We got to get, I think you guys are working on a mic'd up with him, and I want the entire world to see it because he is truly special. I don't think I've ever seen this guy be upset. And that's the attitude to have in baseball. There are sports where you can be upset and you can show that emotion, and that's good, and that's actually praised. Baseball, sometimes it is, but more often than not, it's not, because of how much of a marathon baseball is and how mental it is. So if you can have somebody in your ear and on the field being positive, whether they're starting the game, whether they're striking out, whether they're on the bench, it's important. And that's what I feel with Chase Jackson. And let's also make note that, yeah, he struggled at the plate to start the season. And you know what? He did have a couple of errors. And his attitude is the reason why he bounced back. And he had a tremendous week last week hitting, and his fielding has been fantastic. He has been I think I mean, put a nickel in the jar, cool, calm, and collected. I mean, we've said it like 15 times. And I think that's a good thing that we're able to say that about so many players on this team. But Chase Jackson, for me, heart and hustle, truly something special.
Two more words to go here, and they're the two big ones, Cy Young and MVP. We'll do Cy Young first, and each person on this panel will give a starter for the Cy Young and a reliever for the Cy Young, and a reminder that the three VBL All-Stars this year for the Tom Sox were all pitchers in Lucas Cash, Evan Allwine, and Brandon Dahlman. All those guys, we've said their names already. Matt Becker, you closed out the last award. I'll have you start this award.
I was very close to putting Evan Allwine. He's also terrific. No disrespect to him, but came a little bit late. That's not his fault. That's why I'm giving it to Lucas Cash. And this guy has been with the Tom Sox from day one. He was actually one of the first players that I think you guys pointed out to me and you said, get ready for this guy. And his story inspired me to put him on this list, but um, to me, that game against the Turks solidified it for me, a complete game. And I know it was 7 innings. I don't care. It's a complete game. And even if it didn't go 7 innings, and it went 9 innings, he still went 7 innings. That's unheard of in Summer League at any capacity. So for me, he's my starter, my reliever. I think it's going to be a pretty popular answer here, and it's Dahlman. And I can give you a bunch of reasons, but I think you guys are going to end up giving the reasons. I love seeing him up there. As a Mets fan, when Edwin Diaz was on his tear, that's what Dahlman feels like. It really does. He feels untouchable. And if the base is loaded and nobody's out, I put Dahlman in expecting to get 3 outs, all via the strikeout and no run score.
Landon.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with the reliever because that's gonna be an obvious answer. Brandon Dahlman, he's got 31, 32 strikeouts. I mean, it's incredible. He's unplayable out there. You cannot, if you're a batter and you see 7 on the bump, you might as well just go ahead and walk back to the dugout and say, just give me an out. Because you're going to get out. It's either a strikeout or a ground out. Um, and the crazy thing is, he came from Liberty. He was okay. He didn't do great, but he didn't do bad in Lynchburg this season. But no one expected this, and he came in at the time where the Sox really needed him. They needed relievers. They didn't want to throw position players anymore. Um, and he's been that guy. He's been that guy. So he's my Cy Young reliever. For starter, I will go with Evan Allwine just because he's been so consistent. It's 1A, 1B with him and Lucas Cash. They're interchangeable. Seriously, they're interchangeable. But I want to provide some differentiation. Allwine, I mean, he didn't have his greatest year at Pasco Hernando either, but he's come in and put in some really good work with the Tom Sox, and he picked up where he left off. And I think the embodiment, he went 7 innings of scoreless pitching against Covington, um, in a place where he had injured himself last season, and that was it. But he came back, defied the odds, and had a really good outing, and he's going to continue to have a really good outing, and we're really hoping that we can have him if the Sox were to make a big playoff run.
Yeah, that's what impressed me most about Evan Allwine Landon is his mentality at that game in Covington, right? That's where his foot injury happened last year, and after the game, he told you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he wasn't thinking about it at all.
Yeah.
He was thinking about the game that he had to pitch, and you know what? It was one of the best games pitched by a Tom Sox pitcher all season. So to have that mentality, and we talk about baseball as a game about mentality, it's strong, it's impressive. Portney, where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, for a starter, it's got to be Evan Allwine. And I think the only bad thing about it is that he's only really been able to reap what he's sown on the mound at the show once this season. He's had 4 other appearances away from home. You talk about how he's been working on the mound and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, coming in, having that quality start at Covington was huge. 7 innings pitched, and he had 7 strikeouts. And he's really been a guy who's been able to, I mean, I'm sounding like a broken record now, turn on at the end of, or really in this stretch, turn on at the end of the year. We're coming into this final third of the year, and he's going to be able to provide a lot of value. Also going to be in that All-Star game, which is huge, and I think he's been able to provide such great value there. And going from one to another, we're going to go with the reliever, it's pretty obvious in my eyes it's Brandon Dahlman. Whether you're working with a fastball or the breaking ball, I mean, the guy's pretty untouchable. When it was that Stanton game, I think he came in during that 10-7 win over Stanton when they were down 6-0. And I mean, if you needed somebody, you were going to go with Dahlman. And that game felt like a playoff game all the way throughout. And the guy was as cool as a cucumber. He had 5 strikeouts, set everybody down. And you knew as soon as he was coming up, I mean, you were getting shut down is pretty much paraphrasing what Landon said. I believe he also retired every batter in a different outing. He's only had, I think, 2 earned runs all year. So he's been fantastic. I don't need to wax more poetic about him. I'm sure you guys will.
Luke.
3 words: Evan Allwine and Brandon Dahlman. Must see TV. I mean, that's just the simple about it. Those 2 guys are incredibly impressive. Allwine in specific, to start the season in the bullpen where we weren't sure if he was going to stay in the bullpen or not, or if he was going to become a starter again. And at first, we didn't think he was going to be stretched out to the length he was of last season as a starter. But back to it, he pitched 96 pitches in Covington, was upwards of 90 in his first start against Stanton. So you kind of start to see it. He's starting to build back up into the starter role. And when he gets back into his starter groove, you start to see the same type of success he had last season, where he's finding the black, painting the corners on hitters, even with the added velocity. Mind you, he's up 2 to 3 miles an hour on his fastball than he was last season. So it's different and harder for hitters to pick that pitch up because it's coming in faster. And he's still able to locate it effectively like he was last year. So seeing him kind of go to Pasco Hernando and then build up himself as a better pitcher and come back to Charlottesville this summer as a much, much improved player, but still the same great person that we all knew last year. That's been the most fun thing about Evan Allwine, and it's really fun to see him succeed on the mound. And Brandon Dahlman, you guys have already covered it. He's been a part of this Sox turnaround, maybe the biggest part of the Sox turnaround. Like I said, and in the words of the great Jose Alvarado, maybe not so great Jose Alvarado, Phillies reliever, strike 1, strike 2, good luck with Brandon Dahlman. That's typically how at-bats go when the righty's on the mound. Once you get 2 strikes, you're just praying you can make contact, because a 4-3 ground out or a 6-3 ground out looks a whole lot better than a backwards or forwards K.
I'll echo everybody's sentiments. Evan Allwine, Lucas Cash, Brandon Dahlman. There's a reason those 3 are all-stars this year for the Tom Sox. I'm going to give a couple more shout-outs before we move on to the MVP award. I want to give a shout-out to Eric Davis, who has come in midway through the season and really helped the Tom Sox bullpen. He had a great outing last time he was out. Evan Reese has been improved. Clayton Arma stretched the Sox when they needed it last Sunday. Asher Sabom, as was already mentioned. Connor Hedgepeth, his breaking ball is nasty. Garrison White, good to see him back from injury. Trevor Booten, another mainstay of the Tom Sox. He broke a couple franchise records, and he's now the leader in all-time appearances and all-time wins. So always a good opportunity to shout out Trevor Booten. And then Gary Gibson, Anthony Mancini, Cole Draper. They've all pitched sporadically for the Tom Sox, but they've all been impactful. So I will stick with Evan Allwine, Lucas Cash, and or Brandon Dahlman as my trio. But I feel like all those guys deserve a shout-out. Here we go. Moving on to the big bucks right here. The MVP of the Tom Sox season. You define it however you want to, but this is where we'll end. We're saving, of course, the best for last. Luke Stefanisko, who is your MVP as we sit here on June 30th?
Yeah, well, I didn't save the best for last, and shame on me for picking this guy for another award, but he's been that impactful. I think Silver Slugger and MVP is not that far out of the equation for Grayson McCullum. I mean, if we're talking value here, the guy that leads the team in RBIs and leads the team in runs scored, I mean, let's put it pretty simply here. Baseball is a game of runs, and a guy that's produced the most and scored the most runs, I think is deserving of MVP. When you go into the statistics again, 313 batting average, 26 hits, which leads the team. His average also leads the team among qualified hitters. Aiden Harris is the leader among non-qualified hitters and just the team in general. But again, it's with nearly 40 plus at-bats on him is Grayson McCullum. He's an incredible baseball player, and I think you could tell with the season he had at Kennesaw State that this guy was a great get for Randy Tomlin and the Tom Sox. And to have him in the green and blue this summer has been a pleasure because he's just continued what he did at Kennesaw State. He's put bat to ball. He's been a BABIP god, in the words of the baseball analytics nerds, because when he puts the ball in play, good things happen.
Landon Weaver, your MVP on June 30th of the Tom Sox 2026 season is who?
Brandon Dahlman. I think for a guy to come in and do what he's done, we're being a dead horse, right? But he's just been phenomenal, and he's been the reason that the Sox have, okay, they've been up by a couple runs, but it's the reason that they stay up by a couple runs at the end of the game. That's why you go in as the reliever. You're supposed to relieve the team from any stress, and that's what he's done. And so for me, he's the MVP just because he's single-handedly won games for the Sox. He single-handedly fended teams off, and he just got that aura about him when he comes onto the mound late in the game.
Bryan Portney, your MVP. Give it to us.
I mean, it's pretty easy. I'm going to have to go with Brandon Dahlman. And we've talked about him ad nauseum at this point. But, I mean, 32 strikeouts, we'll leave just 5 walks, just speak for itself. I mean, this guy is exactly as advertised and a whole lot more. He's been a fantastic addition. And there's a reason why the Sox have really saved him for the good situations, right? You know, they could be pitching him so many times. He's got 10 appearances by now. He's only got 6. You know, he has been a part of the success when need be. And really, when the Sox need somebody, you call on 7.
Matt Becker.
I turned my camera off for a second to get a prop. My MVP is Lucas Cash. And the reason is because when the Tom Sox were 0-7 and when they were scrapping and clawing their way back, there was one player that was there the entire time. But not only was he there the entire time, he made an impact. And it didn't matter if the team was winning or losing. He went out there and he did his job. And yeah, maybe he had 1 or 2 rocky starts. And by rocky, I mean like 3 or 4 runs, which I think a lot of pitchers would be very happy with as a starter. Lucas Cash is my MVP. He's the heart and soul of this team. I know I already gave Chase Jackson the Heart and Hustle Award, but he is the heart and soul of this team. He is everything about this entire franchise. He is a Tom Sox for life. He is everything you want the Tom Sox to be, and he is my MVP, and it solidified it to me on that game that me and Landon called. It was unbelievable because of how big the Tom Sox needed to beat the Turks, standings wise and everything, and how much needed that game was. And then the Newmarket game too. I wasn't even there. And he bent a little bit. Let up 4 runs. Didn't matter. He did great. Lucas Cash, you're my MVP.
When you said you had a prop, I had no idea where it was going. But I'm very happy with that turned out. I'm very happy how that turned out because he's also my pick for MVP, and I think one number sticks out, and you alluded to this: 30 innings pitched and a 3.00 ERA. 5 games started, 2 wins, credited with 1 loss, and he only has 11 strikeouts. But hey, he gets outs, and that's what matters. And he doesn't have the flashy stuff. You know, he's what they would call a veteran in the Tom Sox organization. He's working hard on his day-to-day, right? He's working HVAC, and to be able to pitch at this level for the Tom Sox in a way that he's done for 3 prior years now, it's incredible. And Lucas Cash, my MVP. I think Grayson McCollum would be my runner-up. Will Yao might be in 3rd place for me, if not Xavier McCory, if I filled out a full ballot. But Lucas Cash has been incredible for the Tom Sox. We'll close it out with this here as we talk on June 30th, and the Tom Sox sit at 4th place in the Valley Baseball League, but they've had a good stretch over the last 10 games. 7-3, 11-12 overall record, 5.5 games behind first place, and that's not really what you're looking at. You're looking at your 1 game above Harrisonburg in 4th, your 2 games behind Culpeper in 3rd, And I'll ask each of you this before we close it out. What's the one thing the Tom Sox have to do if they want to keep winning, solidify themselves in a playoff position, and hopefully make a run at a fifth VBL championship? Luke, what say you?
That they can do it. I mean, to put it plain and simple, this team's been playing some of the best baseball in the league as of the past 2 weeks. And I think you're starting to see this team finally find its identity. I think that they just need to stay the course. You got to buy into what this coaching staff's trying to build, to what the identity that you've built so far this season, not like last year's team where small ball was kind of the identity of last season's team. How about this season being more the pitching and defense side of things, being really, you know, attentive to details on the defensive and pitching side of things to try and keep games as low scoring as you can, and when the offense needs to awake, because when the offense is awake, we've seen them dominate the multiple run roll victories over Harrisonburg and Stanton back to back. But then on the backside of that, you had the game against Covington where it was a 4-1 win, but the offense did its job when the pitching staff kept it low scoring. So kind of adjusting your identity when it matters. But I really think the identity of this team is the pitching and defensive side of things. It's where they've shined all season long. They're not the big bats. They're not going to slug 3 homers a game. They're going to keep things as low scoring as they need to be and find a way to pull it out.
Landon, how do the Tom Sox keep this momentum, and how do Randy Tillman and co. and the rest of the team fight for the 4th playoff spot?
By playing free. They've been having fun the last 10 games or so, and that's just by playing free. Not worrying about other teams, not worrying about the standings, just trying to be 1-0 on the day that you have a game, right? You guys know that, Penn State guys, be 1-0, and I'll find out very soon. But being 1-0 on the day that you have a game is important because that's all you can do. You can't go 2-0. You can't get multiple games back in one day, but you can slowly chip away or slowly increase your advantage. And so, by doing that, by playing free, that's what they've been doing. They're 7-3 in their last 10. And if they keep on continuing that recipe, it'll be successful.
Bryan Portney, as we sit with 2.5, 3 weeks left in the season, what's one key for you?
I mean, it seems pretty simple, or might not be something that everybody chooses, but I mean, it all starts with batting practice. It all starts with what you do before. Matt and I have had the privilege of seeing this team take IO before the games and getting to chop it up with the guys and seeing just how they get to gel together. I believe it was the Stanton game where every ball was just flying out of the ballpark. This was recently, and that was probably the best batting practice I've seen this team take all year. And you go ahead and take a look at all that. It starts off with vibes. Sometimes you just know when a team is going to blow a team out. And then, we saw the last couple of games, or really in that stretch of games where the Tom Sox were outscoring opponents 26-3. It all started with batting practice. I mean, this team is just able to do that. It all starts with how you take your swings batting practice, because sometimes it's a good coping mechanism. If you have a bad batting practice, you can just brush it off. Doesn't mean you're going to have a bad game. But if you have a really good batting practice, hey, that means you can go 3 for 4 in the game, or it means you can go 0 for 4 in the game. But overall, I mean, the team focus has been fantastic when it starts with batting practice, and when the guys are doing well in the pregame warmups overall with IO and taking fungos. It really starts with the simple things. You do the little things, and the big things take care of themselves.
Matt Becker, this team sits 1 game below 500. Their goal, as was alluded to earlier, is to go 1-0 each day. Where do you see that happening?
We're just going to keep saying this and putting the Penn State hat back on. Okay, here's the thing. The reason they're below 500 is because of the early season. And the reason the early season was so bad was because of the errors. There were a lot of times where we all left games and we would look at ourselves and then flash back to the game and say, we are better than every single team we've played so far. And the Tom Sox have shot themselves in the foot. It wasn't until the Waynesboro game very recently where we finally agreed, Okay, they just got beat. And sometimes those losses are better and it helps you mature because it's less emotional and you can throw it in the trash and you can move on. When you make errors, it starts to spiral. And then you get in your own head. And when you get in your own head, you start playing bad baseball. If you feel we should have won that game and we blew it, and I was the reason because I dropped the ball in the fourth inning, which then led to a 6-run inning or whatever, you're probably not going to have a great next game. It's going to take you a little bit to reset. This isn't hockey. This isn't football. This isn't basketball where you can probably just chuck up another shot. It's not like that. So they got to stop with the errors, and they have been. And I want to see more of that. And we talked about Gold Glove, and Chase Jackson has really been stepping it up. And we've seen a lot of players make less errors, even the throws to first, where there has been a couple of errors. We've seen the first baseman catch it. We've seen the first baseman dive and keep it in front of them. They only get one base. The runner doesn't go to scoring position. So for me, that's your golden ticket moving up. And I apologize for being distracted. There was some big NBA news that just broke, so I was on my phone for the last couple of minutes. But Portney, I 100% agree with you. Because that batting practice, I'm actually going to take it a step further. That was the best I've ever seen in my entire life by any organization. I've never seen that many balls leave. Maybe the MLB, but I don't count that because they're professionals.
I think my goal for the team, and then we'll wrap it up, is simple as playing as a team, right? There's a Tom Sox squad, and they talk about baseball being an individualistic sport. There's a player on the mound, a player catching, and a player hitting, period. But it's much more than that. Baseball is about chemistry. It's about how you play together, and it's about how you work towards a common goal. And I think that as Randy Tomlin, Thomas Abel, Beth Warner, and Will Pearson motivate these guys and recognize that there is something at stake here and they have a chance to do something special, and that's win number 5 for this organization. We can see how these guys are meshing together more clearly. We'll go through the schedule real quick as we enter July. On Wednesday, the Sox travel to Front Royal to take on the Cardinals, and 3 home games in a row: Covington, Stanton, and Winchester, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, respectively. Saturday, an off day, as it is the 4th of July. And then the all-illustrious VBL Cal Ripken Showcase game early next week in Bethesda, Maryland. A lot to look forward to in this Tom Sox season. We'll see when we talk at the end of it how these awards have possibly changed and what the outlook of this team and this franchise is following the conclusion of the 36-game season. I want to extend a very, very heartfelt thank you to Matt Becker, Bryan Portney, Landon Weaver, and Luke Stefanisko for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun and a good chance to catch up, and I appreciate everyone that stuck around this far. We've been talking for over an hour, so if you've watched the whole way through, thank you very much, and thanks for keeping up with the Tom Sox. We'll be back with an episode here as we close out the season, but stay tuned on the YouTube channel because there's lots of great content coming from the Tom Sox side, whether it's live games, mic'd up segments, full interviews, or much, much more. So once again, thanks to Matt Becker, Landon Weaver, Bryan Portney, and Luke Stefanisko. I've been Ben Rekosh, and you've been watching and listening to On Deck with the Tom Sox.